What's up, everyone? It's Brad with the Hodl Fandom. With the latest Q4 results being released from Disney just a few days ago, I decided to listen in on the corporate call and dive into the financials and reports to see if there's anything we can infer regarding how ecomi or Veve are doing and where they might go in the future. I've put together my thoughts on that in this video. Let's get into it. So something you guys may not know, one of my backgrounds is in accounting. I actually did mechanical engineering first, and then I did my BCom in accounting, and I'm currently working in finance and accounting. So I was always curious to see how the ecomi deal with Marvel and Disney would impact the Q4 results, since we now have a full quarter of selling Marvel products under our belt with the Veve platform. I was also hoping for some details that would maybe help me reverse engineer the licensing deal, like dollar-wise, between ecomi and Disney, or at least get a shout out during the call, maybe even the shout out to the NFT space. But unfortunately, we didn't get either of those. So when I took a dive into the numbers, there are two categories how I organize my thoughts. Number one are things that we could not make any conclusions on despite some bold claims that I hear sometimes in the community. And number two, educated guesses on future utility and products when you hear where the direction that Disney wants to go in. So I'm going to talk about first the things we cannot determine. And I'm going to take you to the lab because it just makes it easier to reference all the different documents that I want to talk about. So let's put on my lab mic here. So this is, I'm just shooting on my DJI Osmo Pocket here. This is a mechanical gimbal. I take it on vacation with me all the time. It keeps shots steady and is great for shooting B-roll. So I love this thing. It's a great little tool. So I got the financials here, got the Disney financials here. Got some other relevant stuff here, and I got some spreadsheets here I put together. So the first thing, let's talk about things we can't determine. So I'm going to bust a few myths here right off the bat. The Disney proceeds on the Veve sales to the market. Now, one of my first goals, admittedly, was to try to figure out how much money is actually going from ecomi to Disney. And right off the bat, I realized that's impossible to do because there's just not enough information. For example, let's take a look at the modern Marvel, let's pull up the zombies information here. According to this, we made about $1.1 million in sales revenue. So the funny thing is whenever we have a quick sellout, it's like somebody from on Discord or wherever, Reddit, Twitter or whatever, they're always like, oh my God, Disney made so much money on this. You know, they're going to make a ton of money. Here's a fact. Those people are missing one key part of the calculation, and that's what we call the cost of goods sold. The cost that's required to make this product. So in this scenario, what that is the cost of Trevor's salary and the overhead related to Trevor and the outsourcing of creating, say, the digital statues. Trevor did mention that they do outsource creating the skeletal structure for many of these products. So how much is that? How much is Trevor's salary allocated to this? How much is the overhead? We ultimately don't know. But the fact is, there are some cost of goods regardless of what you think. So if we were to give Disney that 1.1 million on the revenue on all the sales of the modern Marvel zombies, ecomi would be losing money. Each Marvel drop, we would be losing money because we're not even recuperating the costs incurred to create that product. So right off the bat, that makes no sense. Okay, how much are we sending to Disney? We don't know. We ultimately don't know. We don't know what the cost of goods are. We don't know what their profit margins are. We don't know what their markups are. So Disney could be receiving some or none of that. Also, we don't know what the 6.5 secondary fees total to. I mean, I'd love to know what that is. I'd love to know what that looks like, but ultimately we don't know. Not enough information, and it's impossible to make any sort of guess. So with that said, I did a what-if scenario, my own what-if universe here, to see the potential sales of annualized sales of what we would be generating based on Disney products. I did this just to prove a point here, and I know I just said we would not give this money to Disney, but I put it together just to prove a point, and I'll get to that in a second. So let's look at the monthly drops. So there's about 2 comic book drops a week on a Tuesday and a Thursday, and that would put it at 8 comic book drops a month. Each month there's about one 10K edition drop, and the rest of them are 25 to 30K edition drops. We don't see any more of the 60K drops. I haven't seen one in a while. We also have every week. Oh, sorry. Let's go back to those comics. That equals to 1.4 million in monthly recurring revenue. If we go back to the Modern Marvels, now there's a drop every Saturday, so 4 drops a month, and that equals about $900,000. If you annualize all of those, that's $28 million a year. Now I know that's just a rough estimate, and I know sometimes, like when we had the stamps drop, it replaces a comic book drop on a particular day, so we don't have both at the same time, but just a rough estimate. Now, we just had the golden moments. I don't think we're going to have that weekly. I don't think we're going to have that monthly, but we are missing some key things. We're missing like Cinderella. We're missing Simba. We're missing Cinderella's carriage. We're missing some big items. Belle and the Beast. I think we're going to have these golden moments again, but I don't think it's not going to be monthly, not going to be weekly. I'm going to be so broke if it's weekly. Yeah, it's crazy. Let's say I'm going to make an assumption here. It's once per quarter. So if you add up all those, that's $53 million per year. I know I just mentioned this would not all go to Disney. If anything, it would be less. But let's say it is. How does this affect Disney? How much is this for Disney? Are they excited? Would they be excited to get $50 million? So if you pull up their financial statements here, Disney had revenues of $67.4 billion. 50 million would equal 0.07%. So less than 0.1%. In terms of the segment revenue that would belong to, that would equal 0.7%. So again, less than 1%. So really this recurring, I know again, these are rough estimates and I know this won't go to Disney, but I just did it to prove a point. What if all the money we're generating goes to Disney? And the point is, it's a drop in the bucket for Disney. So that started to make me think. The point is, it started to make me think there's something else that Disney and ecomi have agreed on. There's more to it than just the dollars, because the dollars are not, it's a drop in the bucket. In fact, I looked at shopdisney.com's revenue, and it totaled for the fiscal year 2020, $191 million. So we're not even meeting shopdisney.com. Both annualized sales. And again, this is just an estimate. So what else is there? The first thing I thought of was my Ben Riley video. As I mentioned in that video, if you haven't seen it, I'll link it below. But basically, in that video, I said that ecomi is a partner, not just buying the license. We're a partner, and now we're also a marketing channel for Disney products. We're going to help market their products. The reason why we got Ben Riley, again, I mentioned that in that video. Why did we get such an obscure version of Spider-Man? Because Ben Riley is taking over the mantle of Spider-Man going forward. You see, they put Peter Parker in a coma, and Ben Riley is taking over for the foreseeable future. And I think it's going to be years. I think it's going to be a couple of years until the 60th anniversary of Spider-Man. Why did we get the Immortal Hulk #1? Nobody knew of that storyline. Everybody knew of World War Hulk, or Future Imperfect maybe. But why did we get Immortal Hulk? Because the Immortal Hulk was just being finalized. Issue number 50 was released 2 weeks later. Why are we getting all these Marvel Zombies? It's to promote their future Marvel Zombies show on Disney Plus, right? We are a marketing arm for them. It's not about the dollars, it's for help. It's about how we can help. It's about how Veve can help Disney earn more revenue on their main revenue streams. So that brings up the thought of what else can we be getting to help Disney? So let's talk about products. I'll get to you future utilities in a minute here, but let's look up the Marvel Twitter page. I have that up right here. And you can see all their upcoming shows. They just tweeted it out a few hours ago. Secret Invasion, so we could see some scrolls. Marvel Zombies, we already got Marvel Zombies. Got those a couple weeks ago. Agatha Harkness, we could definitely get Scarlet Witch collectible. We can get Agatha Harkness. I could actually see a Marvel Mighties, Agatha Harkness, Scarlet Witch, and Ralph Boner, I guess. Ironheart. So Ironheart is a female version of Iron Man who took over the mantle of Iron Man when Iron Man went, he apparently died, but he came back as usual. Ironheart was part of the All New, All Different Marvel. I think it was around 2015. I am Groot. Groot was like the cute thing before Baby Yoda joined. So that would be a big sellout. I could definitely see a Groot 3D collectible. Echo, I think that is the, it's interesting. I think that is Kingpin's daughter. It's interesting they're making a show of that. It's interesting. Okay, What If? We're going to be getting another What If series, and so we've got the What If comics, we've got Uatu's first appearance, but we don't have an Uatu collectible. That could be something we're getting. Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan. We are definitely getting either a comic and or collectible with this. She-Hulk, I could totally see a She-Hulk, Savage She-Hulk #1. Her first appearance in comics. Moon Knight. I mentioned Moon Knight in my previous video, the Ben Reilly video. There is a series coming out with Oscar Isaac as the actor, and the comics I think are still going on. There's a Moon Knight series still out there. X-Men 97, so we're getting X-Men again. We're bringing back the animated series, so that could be a poster. I'm not sure what they would do, maybe a poster or something. Funny thing, my ringtone is the X-Men animated series theme song. So those are potentially future things that we could receive in terms of collectibles. What about additional utility that we can infer based on, again, this Disney call? So one of the things Bob Capek mentioned during the call was growing their 3 main areas. Number 1, direct-to-consumer. Number 2, sports. And number 3, parks, experience, and products. Those are the three main business lines. So we already saw some additional utility with the golden moments. You see, everybody that packed one during the drop, they got either a 3-month membership or a 12-month membership on Disney+. So that's one way that they're helping to grow their big money makers. That's the direct-to-consumer, sports, and then parks, experience, and products. $50 million off Veve sales is a drop in the bucket. Those are the billion-dollar makers for Disney. So offering and getting people into Disney+, that's more important to Disney. So what else can they offer? What other utility can they have? They could have more tie-ins to Disney+, sure. We've already seen that. What about Hulu? So Disney owns Hulu. So I have never watched a Hulu program, at least I didn't think I did. So I Googled Hulu and I did see the Animaniacs. Now they're an old school cartoon, not that old. I think they were shown in the mid 90s or so, late 90s. I could totally see an Animaniacs collectible, like all 3 of them, or maybe one each, like a Wacko, Yakko, and a Dot, and a Pinky and a Brain. Maybe like that would be a set. I could totally see that. And then that being tied to having a Hulu membership, whether again it's 3 months or 12 months, something similar to the Disney Plus. But that would help grow, similar to the Disney Plus, that would help grow their Hulu memberships. That would help grow their direct-to-consumer product line. Also, funny thing is that Animaniacs was owned by Fox. They were owned then by Warner Brothers, and now they're owned by Disney. So there wouldn't be any licensing issues with Wacko, Yakko, and Dot, because ecomi has partnerships with all those companies. So let's talk about sports. So we also have the NFLPA license. Nothing has happened with that. Now, just a thought, what if that also included an ESPN Plus membership? You see, again, Disney's trying to grow their main product lines. They're also trying to grow ESPN Plus memberships. Again, that's the big moneymaker. They have a 10-year license with the NFL. This could be definitely one way that they can grow that business. They also own DraftKings. So I don't know about you, but I used to be heavily involved in sports betting. Actually, my first business I tried to open up was a sports touting business online. I had databases, crazy databases, trying to build predictive models on sporting events. Anyways, that was another lifetime ago. But I still get emails, 20% off your first DraftKings deposit. What if, you tied a collectible and you offered 5, 10, 20% off a deposit to DraftKings? That's definitely another way to grow that part of the business. Let's talk about parks, experiences, and products. Okay, I could totally see a way where they incorporate admission, like maybe even localization for those located in, like, say, the East Coast United States, or just the United States in general. If you get a particular drop, then you get 20% off admission to the parks, or 20% off the gift shop purchases, or rides purchases, or whatever, things like that. that could help bring people in to their third line of business they're trying to grow, which is, again, parks, experience, and products. So one other thing that Bob Kibek mentioned, this was actually in the post interview, they want to bring their products to an additional 50 different countries over the next 2 years. Now, that also brings up the thought of localization. We've talked about localization here with ecomi, and nothing's really come out of it yet, but could we use localization to help achieve their goal of reaching an additional 50 countries? I definitely see that. And again, this is all tinfoil stuff. All this is tinfoil stuff. Nobody really knows, but these are just things that I'm sort of inferring from the corporate call, from their finances, and from the numbers. And this is definitely not financial advice. I should have said that earlier. One final note that was mentioned here is that Disney also mentioned the metaverse. They didn't go into detail about that. Obviously, ecomi has been building and been talking and planning about their Veveverse for years. Disney was very vague about theirs, so I have no idea what's going to happen with that. It does make sense for it to be more of a partnership, although everybody's building their metaverse these days. It's hard to tell what's going to happen, but it makes sense for them to leverage the experience that ecomi has built, planning theirs out for the last 2-3 years. So just to conclude things, I know I'm missing a lot of the data to make some hard conclusions, but it does look like to me that this partnership with Disney and ecomi is not on the dollars of today. It's more on building who can help build the foundation for a stronger tomorrow. And ecomi is ahead of the curve with that. They've been planning out their metaverse for years, and they definitely have a lot more utility with their NFTs than anybody else. So anyways, these are just my thoughts on the corporate call with Disney and their Q4 results. Thanks for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing. I'll see you in the next video.